Good afternoon, everyone. I call to order the regular board meeting, virtual board meeting for Gateway Community Charter Schools, 4:45 p.m., June the 9th, 2020. Roll call. Mr. Anderson.
Mr. Anderson is absent today.
Thank you. Mr. Block.
Mr. Block will be with us shortly.
Mr. Mandrick.
Present.
Mr. Turner. Mr. Turner. Mr. Turner is present. Present. Thank you. And Campbell, present. To our superintendent, Dr. Peterson, to all of the cabinet members, we welcome you to our board meeting, and thank you for being here today. We also acknowledge our principals who are with us today. Do we have public comments?
There are no public comments.
No public comments. Thank you. And now we move to the superintendent's update. But again, I wish to welcome everyone who's with us on virtual and who's present in the meeting. Thank you so much for being here today. And now Dr. Peterson with the superintendent's update.
Yes, Madam President. So since our last meeting, we want to inform you that we have had many exciting and good events that were planned by our principals and our sites. They were very creative in maintaining our culture of honoring our students. We have yet one more to occur this coming Saturday, where Sava will also host their virtual event. The only ones of our sites that did not do a virtual event of some kind was Epic, which after getting feedback from their community is choosing to wait till they can do it in person, hopefully later this summer. We want to let the board know, because it's has been already awarded to him, that your fine gifts have given a scholarship to Deshaun T. Williams from Sava. He is the GCC Board Scholarship winner this year. Deshaun is an incredibly intelligent and articulate young man who has excelled in every one of his endeavors at Sava. He is a natural born leader who has served as a leader at Sava. He plans to pursue his education at Folsom Lake College next semester, and one day he aspires to become a neurosurgeon. On his behalf and on behalf of Sava, we thank the board for your generous contribution and continued support for our students and for their future education. We want to recognize that in light of current events, last week we released a statement to all of our families and our staff regarding the current events surrounding the passing of Mr. George Floyd in Minnesota and the subsequent community response. We are continuing to work on educating our families, our staff, and our students about the importance of race relations in our communities and our responsibilities within that. We also continue to be a leader in our community, supporting other charter schools with our knowledge, working with community partners to support our community. Our mentoring program that was funded through Sierra Health and the Obama Foundation is hosting a community virtual town hall to discuss and strategize with youth and community leaders. And we're looking at other ways that we may also make strategies and support. The mentoring program works with young African-American males at HLA, Sava, and CCCS. COVID-19 updates. We have received some more formal guidance from the County Office of Education, as well as the California Department of Education regarding school reopening. Both of these documents were waited for with bated breath. There are, of course, many similarities, many differences, and we are still compiling that information to inform our work for the coming school year. Planning for next school year is underway by each site. They are creating 3 options, both a distance learning, a blended, and an on-site option, to see which of these we may be, in fact, moving into in the fall. And we may have to move in and out of those options. So we are working with all of those for each site. We have spreadsheets that we've created for each school regarding all their reopening needs for facility, for cleaning, for supplies. and also for education related to those options. And Dr. McCormick is meeting with each principal to try to review these and develop them. And so we can start creating some ordering and some knowing that we have processes for each school. We continue to attend numerous webinars, events about safe reopening, from facilities to instruction to distance learning, to Tony Thurman's response on the matter, and AXA as well. So we will continue to keep you updated as we know more in this area. We are working on our blueprint for excellence and have made some progress regarding some new ways to structure our goals and priorities and to bring that to you at a later date. And we will let you know that will probably be later in June or possibly even into July. Today we had our second of 3 sessions with Hanover Research on the topic of equity. You will remember that we went into this work some months ago before the current issues had arisen in our country. And so it is very timely that we are continuing to do this work. And today was a very deep session looking at our data for areas of possible inequity and how to address those. We have 46 participants from across all of our school sites. We also have a task force of administrators who are reviewing and looking at our equity strategic plan and policy to ensure alignment and best practice. We expect to bring those back to you in July as well. Other things we want to be sure you're aware of is that July 1st brings into law the measures of AB 1505 and 1507 that were passed this last spring. We have been working on the GIS renewal through the lens of that renewal criteria. Also, we need to remind you that at this time, unless something changes, on July 1st, the governor's relaxing of the Brown Act will be sunsetting. And at this time, there is discussion that the legislature may not extend that. What that would mean is that starting in July, we would have to physically hold board meetings once again in our boardroom as opposed with using Zoom. We will keep you informed if anything changes on that. But at this time, we are believing that we will have board meetings in our boardroom, practicing social distancing, having all necessary precautions to care for the health of everyone in the room. MOU negotiations with the Yolo County Office of Ed is progressing. We will be bringing to the board an approval, a document for approval at our next meeting. It is primarily just to realign with the new laws. Nothing is really changing in that matter. We continue to attend also legal, equity, HR, and fiscal Zoom meetings and webinars. So much is changing, so much is going on at this point. Crucial Conversations held its final session cohort number 21 this last week. It was a little hard in the Zoom environment, but we got it handled. Dr. McCormick and I completed that work, and cohort 21 is in the books. And last but not least, we had interviews and finalized our hire for our Director of Special Education and Student Services. We are proud to announce that we hired Mr. Eric Crawford, who's currently a Special Education Area Principal for the Sacramento County Office of Education, has a deep background in special education. We look forward to introducing him at a future meeting. And Madam President, that is my update for you.
So much, Dr. Peterson. Thank you. Board members,
You're welcome.
do you have questions or comments? Do I see hands? Seeing none, again, I sound like a broken record repeating what I've always said. Thank you so much, so very much for all of your hard work and continuing to do what you have been doing all the time, even in these circumstances. So we really appreciate the efforts you make with meeting with staffs and continuing to do the work, and in particular with the equity piece. So thank you very, very much. Okay. And with that, we're now ready to move into our study sessions. 4-1 Gateway International School GIS Annual School Report. Mr. Coy, Dr. Peterson.
Yes, before Ms. Joy begins, I do want to take a moment and just recognize the amazing leadership that Ms. Joy has had at her site. She is an an excellent leader who brings so much to her work. She has been doing a great job building her leadership team as well. She has a strong leadership team, but the incredible outcomes that we have at GIS in our International Baccalaureate program, as well as in our National Showcase School Status, are all due to Miss Joy's wonderful leadership. So I definitely want to affirm her for that.
Thank you. And now we welcome you, Mr. Coy, for your presentation.
Thank you. Good evening, everyone. Good evening, Ms. Campbell, GCC board members and staff, Dr. Peterson, and our GCC staff. It's my pleasure to present to you about the progress this year at Gateway International School. This has definitely been a challenging year of uncertain times, but at the same time, we've had many successes and celebrations. The positive has always prevailed, and our successes outweighs the struggle. The support we garner from our team at GIS pushes us to excellence, even in the midst of trials. Patience, respect, resourcefulness, and understanding our values that we always have displayed, but we truly had to rely on this year. And I am honored to lead such an incredible team. So I'm going to try to go to the next slide. There we go. Go back to good things. So we have a lot of good things to celebrate at GIS. We have a strong leadership team that provides individual support to not only students, but to our teachers and staff. This year, we added a curriculum coach, Elizabeth Call, who we called upon to step in to oversee our primary year's renewal this year, and she's done an amazing job leading that process. We also added a parent liaison to our team, who proved to be invaluable during our school closure. Our facility work has been ongoing all year, and it's now making faster progress with our school being closed. We are a 4-time national showcase school for capturing kids' hearts. We have a new ACES supervisor, Maria Chernioglu, who brought excellence to our after-school program this year. And we upgraded to new digital teaching boards, which allowed for easier and more frequent engagement for teachers and students. Distance learning was both a success and challenge this year as well. I first would like to thank Dr. Peterson and the GCC board for their leadership and support during the trying days when school closures first happened. I realized that it meant many long days for you and extra meetings, but I commend you for especially respecting and understanding the needs of our staff as well as our students during distance learning. GIS began preparing for online learning in the few weeks leading up to school closure. Most of our middle school teachers were already using Google Classroom, but we rolled out online platforms in the elementary grades before the closure, which made us more prepared when it happened quickly. On the Monday after closure, we passed out Chromebooks to more than 400 students and then monitored their online activity daily. Our leadership team modified instructional expectations, assessment expectations, and grading practices based upon teacher, parent, and student input, but we continue to move through the curriculum with new learning. The button does not want to appear for me, Mr. Sample. Thank you. We made sure we supported our at-risk students and English learners through distance learning. We assigned all classified staff to a homeroom class, even if they were office staff or paraeducators or after-school staff. These staff attended class meetings and supported the teachers with translations and small group support in breakout rooms, or even created their own Zoom meetings to support students. We ensured access to content for students by asking all teachers to provide instructional videos that students could watch at any time if they were not able to make the class meetings. We also made regular phone calls home and many home visits. 3 of our teachers visited every one of their students. I made home visits, and so did our parent liaison and our ACES staff. Our academic outcomes are always a priority at GIS. We firmly believe that all students can achieve grade level standards, and we build our program around that belief and that expectation. On CASP, our percentage of students meeting or exceeding the standard for ELA increased by 13 percentage points. Our math increased by 2 percentage points, which was similar to the average increase of the district and state. We are pleased with these results, especially considering that we have a high population of English learners. So that jump in our ELA was exciting for us. In terms of local assessments, we usually give the online Renaissance test to students 4 times a year at the start of school and then at the end of each trimester. So the results you see here are from the beginning of the year only to trimester 2 in February. But all grade levels are still showing a positive growth trend on the Renaissance test for both ELA and for math. And these are our results from our California school dashboard. This is an important external measure. Oh, gotta go back. An important external measure of our students' academic growth. It shows these results in relation to the LCAP priorities, both for the entire school and significant subgroups. I'll wait till we get back there. Ideally, you want this report to be green or blue in all areas, and we are green for both ELA and math in school-wide results. We are green for our socioeconomically disadvantaged students in both ELA and math. And our English learners are green for math and yellow for ELA. Our English learners just miss being green for ELA by 0.8 of a point. It also shows that our English learners are making very high progress at 64%, and our students with disabilities grew 45 points in ELA and 64 points in math. Chronic absenteeism and suspension are the components that you'd like to see go down, and our chronic absenteeism went down by 6.5% and suspension by 1.6%. We were intently monitoring this school year, our chronic absenteeism, before we closed, and it was also on trend to go down. So these results will serve us well as we go into charter renewal for next school year. GCC Coherence, we believe, has played a big role in our CASP outcomes. Our emphasis for the last 3 years has been on writing for ELA. But this year we added writing in relation to math, as that is also a requirement for CASP. And of course, our hopes are that our math scores will have the same improvement rate as our ELA scores. Our grade levels collect writing samples 5 times a year and analyze them using our own modified protocol. With input from our leadership team and staff, we created a plan that addressed student weaknesses and clarified staff expectations and supports. Our middle school team is committed to writing across the disciplines and analyzes writing samples for all subjects effectively. This year, our elementary also had to write to a math prompt. I'd like to thank Mr. Michael Gillespie for leading us through the process the last 3 years of Coherence. Our staff and our teachers have expressed to me how they will miss him in the process of Coherence next year. Thank you for your leadership, Mr. Gillespie. And then this process this year of Coherence led us to dive even deeper into what are we doing in instruction at GIS. So we used that Coherence plan, brought it to teachers and to staff, and reviewed it in relation to the current curriculum, assessments, practices, and culture, which led to this draft framework. This is just 1 page of it, where we divided instructional strategies by grade span, K2, 3-5, 6-8. So it's able to be more specific to the grade span. And the teachers thought it necessary to add social emotional learning to this instructional framework, which I loved. It shows that social emotional learning is just as much a priority as reading and writing and math. And now with our school leadership team, we are reviewing this instructional framework. What does this now look like for distance learning or in a hybrid model as we move forward? Our primary years program, grades TK through 8, made some progressive changes to the program this year. We're extremely excited to be using online Aries gradebooks that feed into new standards-based report cards. This required a lot of back-end work by administration. I'd like to thank Dr. McCormick for supporting us with Aries in so many ways this year. Also with teacher training at the beginning of the year, but we also had to train our parents in what the new parent portal looks like for these new Aries gradebooks and report cards. They also began a new process for differentiated instruction called Universal Access, or which we refer to as UA time. This is where all classes at each grade level have the same time set aside each day for working with small groups and individuals. We have flexible groupings and provide paraeducator support during these times. Grades 3 to 5 also began academic conferences this year for students to set their own goals, and we implemented student-led conferences for all of TK through 5th grade. Our middle years program added a second Project Lead the Way class this year. Last year it was only 7th grade, and this year we added for 6th grade, and this was part of our IB design class. These classes are unique because they're very engaging, project-based learning, and hands-on for the students. We trained 10 teachers from our middle school team in Project GLAD, Guided Language Acquisition and Design this year. And not only did we train them in GLAD, but we hosted the training at our school. So it was very meaningful and valuable to our teachers to see this strategy of teaching English language learners in use with our own students. And in that process, other teachers and administrators from schools in the area came to our school for the training. And of course, they had rave reviews about our students and our teachers and our culture at GIS. Safety and healthy is always at the forefront of any decision we make at GIS. Dr. McCormick also led the way this year, scheduling emergency response training and support with our safety plan this year. So I feel like our staff is more knowledgeable about their roles and actions that would be required of them in case of emergencies. Social emotional learning was an initiative that we formally incorporated into our IB units of inquiry. We also talked about social emotional learning in our one-to-one meetings with administrators and teachers. We arranged a number of experiences for our students that help build empathy and understanding for others. One of our favorites has been a touch of understanding, which we've had for at least 3 years now, and that's the top picture on the right that you see. Our students actually get to sit in a wheelchair, ride in a wheelchair through the hallways of our school and feel what it's like to experience having to be in a wheelchair. And they also got to hear from disabled speakers. It's a memorable and impactful experience that teaches empathy to our students. The modernization of our site has already led to a healthier and safe environment. The new HVAC that is in all classrooms is 1,000 times better for teachers and students. And the 4 new portables this year made it possible to shuffle around classrooms during the different phases of construction. These are pictures of our multi-purpose room. You can see the old floor has been removed. New tables are installed in the walls, and they've already started the new paint. I have a deep appreciation for Mr. Thornsberry and his work for supporting our modernization project at GIS. Right? Everyone wants to teach in a school that they're proud of when people walk into. And this definitely makes teachers feel proud and students and parents when they walk into our campus and see our new facilities. With the addition of and support of our new parent liaison this year, we were able to engage parents in bigger and better ways. Daniel Bobella is very energetic, he's knowledgeable, he's bilingual, but most importantly, he's open-minded to all GIS parents. He listens and supports all of their needs, and they comment and praise him for it. He oversaw the creation of our new school app this year, new teacher web pages, our GIS web pages, parent workshops. student assemblies, and parent volunteers. We had many successful school events prior to school closing, such as IB Night, Back to School Night, Spelling Bee, and Winter Celebration. Daniel was also responsible for training our teachers on the new ARIES communication system that easily allows us to email, text, and call parents. The new addition to ARIES was a much needed and convenient tool for timely parent communication. And I'd like to commend GCC and Mr. Sample for the multiple communications that have gone out to families on behalf of GCC during our pandemic. We continue to work with our school community and our surrounding community. We attend the San Juan Charter Leaders meetings. If not me, then Mr. Sample and Mr. Terabkoff or Ms. Britt have attended. We have a strong relationship with our authorizing district, especially during this building project. I meet with district leaders and the construction crew weekly to monitor progress and the impact that the construction might have on students and staff. And San Juan has also partnered with us to communicate with the surrounding neighbors regarding concerns they might have with the construction at our school. We were especially excited to partner this year with our local senior citizen homes. And you'll see this is a picture right in the middle of our students delivering flowers to senior citizens in 3 different nursing homes in the Art and Arcade area. Our students partnered with each other for buddy writing at Valentine's Day, and our older students helped younger students write Valentine's cards, and then the middle school students delivered them to these nursing homes. And we just happened to get a special delivery of 500 bouquets free to our school, and we were able to give a bouquet of flowers to every resident of the nursing homes and staff. It was an amazing day. It's experiences like these that create a sense of community and make people want to be at GIS. We have a strong teacher and student retention rate. We celebrate teachers through affirmation walls, shout outs over the intercom, provide them with lunch on days that we know are going to be difficult for them, and we acknowledge their hard work. Teacher Appreciation Week was unique this year, but I made sure to send all of our teachers an electronic card every day during the week of teacher appreciation. We mailed home gifts to all of our staff, and we got gift cards donated to them from Chick-fil-A. We also honor them by providing professional development, building their capacity and pouring into their skills. So what's next for GIS? We're strongly committed to supporting our students and families as we move into this next phase of what next year is going to be, even though it is the unknown. We anticipate a final phase of construction that it will be done in December, and that day just can't come soon enough for us. We are open-minded as we move into the work of equity with GCC for next year. We have 3 very important events happening right when we return to school in the fall, most importantly of which is charter renewal. And then we have an IB PYP reauthorization that was postponed from this spring to the fall. And we have our mid-cycle review for WASC. So a lot of good things coming up for GIS next school year, but that's the end of my report. Do you have any questions?
Thank you, Mr. Coy, for this wonderful report. Board members, do I see hands? Comments or questions before I continue? Any comments that I noticed, Mr. Coy, that I just made mention of? Your home visits, I am assuming that they were very successful. And I'm glad to see that many of you made home visits and that you also did. Could you just kind of expound on that just a little bit? What took place? Or how did you do it?
Absolutely. Well, of course, I had to go and visit Mr. Sample's triplets, right? So I visited them a couple times. But a lot of our home visits were centered around visiting the students who have not responded through distance learning who we wanted to do
Mhm.
basically a welfare check on them. We have not heard from them. We had not seen them on the class meetings. So many of the home visits centered around that. Some of them also centered around delivering Chromebooks to students because maybe they got a Chromebook at home and somehow now this one's not working. So Mr. Bubella would go and trade out their technology, but he'd also take, time to explain the technology, how to log into it as well. And then our ACES program actually created summer packets for students and took summer work packets to their ACES students. And of course, delivered balloons and different things for them at the same time.
Great. Thank you. The other one you mentioned, turnover rate of staff. I am sorry, just a moment, Mr. Mandrick. What is your turnover rate? Do you have any idea of what it looks like for the coming year?
I don't have a percentage rate, but I know I've only lost one teacher this year who is moving to LA because her husband actually works for University of California and he got transferred to LA. So I lost one second grade teacher because she was moving. Everyone else is staying. I'm keeping everyone else. And we've already hired for her position. I got word today that our new teacher has accepted. So I'm excited.
Thank you, Mr. Gillespie. Fantastic. Mr. Mandrick, I saw your hand. Please excuse me.
On your home visits where you visited kids that were not responding, how successful were you in getting them to re-engage in what you were doing?
I can't say that, I also have a set percentage or number on that as well, but we had success. I know for the ones that I visited and that Daniel visited, we actually took them hard copies of work because now if you're having difficulty getting online, maybe you are one of the students who needs a physical copy of work to complete. And we had those parents bring and deliver that completed work back to GIS. And some of those students were then able to do the work on paper and then take a picture and upload it online. So I would say probably it's not 100% that the home visit worked, but I would say around 50 to 60% that it helped them to engage.
Thank you. Any other questions? Again, thank you and your staff for a job well done. Your scores look good. You are improving there, and we thank you for your hard work. I know that it takes all of you to do the job that you're doing. So our thanks to staff and to you, Mr. Coy.
Thank you, Ms. Campbell.
Anything else?
Yeah, I would just say I know that Ms. Joy did a great job of thanking everyone, but definitely want to say that this year she had also a curriculum coach who she had as a temporary interim vice principal, and I do want to affirm Elizabeth Cowell, who stepped in.
Yeah.
And Ms. Joy coached her very well to support the staff. And I know it's been a lot of changes at Joy's site in terms of that, but her leadership team, all of them are incredibly good leaders, strong people who are learning and supporting, and Ms. Joy is doing a great job growing her team. So Deep Dylan and Stephanie and Liz, they're all just an excellent team together with Ms. Joy. So thank you, Ms. Joy, for all you're doing to grow leadership.
Thank you.
And your parent liaison, I really enjoyed watching him work with the students and the parents. And I enjoy coming to your school every chance I get. So continue the great work. Thank you.
You're always welcome.
Thank you. All right. Hearing nothing else, we're moving on to item 4.2, Futures High School Annual School Report. Ms. Natalia Panasuk.
So I will give Ms. Natalia a introduction. So I want to thank Ms. Natalia, formerly Natalia Burko, now Natalia Panashuk. And she has been a longtime leader for us at Futures High School, and she and her team of Crystal Buddha, her curriculum coach, and Max Gonchar have been doing a really great job. And I know that they've been working very hard at Futures High School and that they have a lot to be proud of and share with you tonight. So Ms. Burko.
Thank
Ms.
you.
Burko
Absolutely.
Panashuk.
Ms. Burko. Thank you so much, Dr. Peterson, for this wonderful introduction. The superintendent, Madam President, board members, thank you for this opportunity to speak about Futures High School today. And I would like to start with our good things. These are the most prominent ones that we are proud of at Futures. This year, we completed our WASC self-study process that should give us another 6-year accreditation. We were very fortunate to complete it right before the closure. It was literally 2 weeks before the closure, and the committee didn't want to come, but we assured them that it's going to be safe, that we'll provide all the necessary disinfecting materials and the resources. So they came and they were very impressed by our progress, and they had positive commendations for us. Also, the recommendations were fully aligned with our findings as well. So we're waiting for the final word from WASP. This year also, for the first time, Futures has become the CKH National Showcase School. This is significant as now the GCC is the CKH National Showcase organization. And I would like to thank Dr. Peterson, Jeff Thorpe, Michael Gillespie for their relentless support, patience, and the drive to help us achieve this honor. We also completed 2 rounds of 30-day challenge this year, despite the closure. 30-day challenge is an online platform that focuses on the value or a character trait where students can connect and learn. As you probably remember, I reported out last year that our first 30-day challenge focused on empathy, and this year's challenge is focused on integrity and perseverance. And the perseverance challenge was especially helpful to our students as we worked on it right during the transition to distance learning environment. It was an important tool that we use for our students to stay connected and to be supported by teachers and staff. What do I need to do like this? Okay, so about the interesting times, our responses to distance learning. Overall, our transition to distance learning was smooth and effective. And I would like to thank the board, the GCC cabinet, and the GCC staff for that effective communication, updates, and support during that uneasy time. We jumped right into work, and it was just amazing to see how quickly we transitioned, how we picked up our students and did not let them fall through cracks. And I'm grateful to them for giving that guidance and providing the structures that help our students to continue to learn in a new format right away. We provided resources such as Chromebooks for the students who needed them. All our students have been familiar with Google Classrooms, as it has been our practice for the past several years. And most of our curriculum has digital component as well. So the students had sufficient resources to utilize online. For the instruction, the teacher had used Google Meet, Zoom meetings, video lessons, and para-tutoring for additional support. We have wonderful para-educators who's been very active in meeting with students one-on-one and making a lot of phone calls and connecting with kids, and they are just amazing. And their evaluation this year from the teachers was that they are not para-educators, they're our teachers. So, and the students view them as teachers. So I would like to just acknowledge their hard work. We utilize media strategically to stay connected with the students and involve parents. In distance learning, the role of parents has shifted, and we provided many opportunities for the parents to be involved and informed in their child's learning. And again, a lot of holding hands and a lot of assurances and a lot of reassuring and advice and guidance that the parent liaison, curriculum coach, the staff, the teachers, everybody provided to the parents. We also, to stay connected and help the families, we instituted mentoring program for the students where each staff member, classified and certificated, have been responsible for specific students and families. So we had approximate ratio of 10 to 12 students per person. And they were responsible for those specific people. They connected regularly. They gave progress report, provided tutorials, assistance, how to use technology, how to upload the documents, how to submit homework, who to contact if they need any help. So it's been very helpful and effective, and we would like to continue that mentoring program in the next year. And with this mentoring program, as well as CKH practices that we continued online during distance learning, we provided that much needed social emotional support to our students. And we specifically focused on that empathy, flexibility, communication, persistence, patience, grit, and responsibility. So when life happens, you know, you take this opportunity to learn those much needed skills. And these skills were specifically practical in the new environment for the students to learn. So our technology, again, as part of distance learning, and before that, even before the distance learning, Futures has been working diligently on enhancing instruction with instructional technology tools. We created a new media class and media and production class, and we supply each student with Chromebook to use in each class. Also, teams of students participated in Monday talk radios, and they were either live or recorded, and the students enjoyed it immensely, and it connected, these talk shows connected our parents, the community, and the students in the school, because the students were bringing up very interesting topics, and the parents and the community were able to participate live, you know, in those talk shows. Also, our professional development has been focused on pedagogy of using instructional technology effectively. And with the new format, the learning has accelerated tremendously. And I'm very pleased that we all became learners in this situation. There's always something new to learn, and what is best, there is an immediate opportunity and necessity to practice these new skills. So, and let's talk about academics. This is I wanted to share just pieces of our data dashboard. The data is in greater detail is included in your packets that were sent to you. So you're welcome to look at it. And I wanted to give credit to Mike Blomquist, Christine McCormick for helping us navigate the data, creating those beautiful documents that are easy to view, checking for accuracies, and just, you know, helping us prepare and be ready to look at the data in a high quality way. So just, I want to provide a general overview and some highlights. The first slide shows our progress in various indicators. Our suspension and graduation rates, our college and career progress indicator, as well as academic indicators. As you can see, we don't have any red colors, and usually red colors indicate lack of progress. We do have some orange in suspension rate, but I will explain that in a couple of slides. Next one shows more specific indicators for English language arts and our mathematics in college and career. So you can see English increased, our English language arts indicator increased by 50 points above standard. We're in blue, made a significant progress in our English language arts. Our mathematics is in green. We grew 11 points. Again, it's not as steep, but it's a steady progress that we've been making. And our college and career indicator declined by 10%. And we're working on the strategies and the programs to improve it. The college and career indicators include many components. They have AP courses, concurrent college courses, CTE pathways, number of students with A through G completion. So there are many different ways and strategies that we are working on. So we have room for improvement in all these categories. And the data shown is also from the previous spring, as this year we don't have any fresh data. And the next slide shows you the CASP results for language arts for the past 4 years, and it compares the data within Twin Rivers, our district, and in California. So you can see that we've been doing pretty well in language arts for our students, and been doing much better, you know, more than average for Twin Rivers and California. Next one is for math. Again, the progress is not as steep. We're making very slow strides towards our math success. And we had a spike in 2017, then it dropped down a little bit, and we're regaining those scores. Our local data, Renaissance data, again, just like Joy mentioned, that they were not able to do it to test kids at the end of the year, and we were not able to test kids at the end of the year. So this is the data for fall, which is our baseline, and winter, our mid-year progress. And usually mid-year progress is incremental compared to the progress at the end of the year. So next slide. And you have this data sliced as well in your data reports. And other measures, our suspension rate and graduation rate. Our suspension rate declined by 10%, which is good. Again, we're not agreeing yet, but we're working on it. This year, we focused a lot on social emotional learning and practicing positive behavior intervention systems for discipline infractions. Also, we are looking very closely at the data to see, is at the grade level, how the data is connected to, the discipline data is connected to our overall practices. And our graduation rate is increased by 5%, and we're very proud of this high score. Our coherence work. I wanted to share this coherent instructional framework visual. I like visual things and simplified things that are easy to see and easy to remember. It's work in progress. Some people say that it can be less clunky. There are too many words. So we are trying to fit a very complex concept into as little words as possible. So to ensure that our students progress in all the state indicators, we have been working on that, creating a coherent instructional framework where instruction, curriculum, assessments, and climate are aligned and focused on student success. And as you can see in the center, student success and specific skills that we identified as their success. And these specific skills, communicators, critical thinkers, citizens, and collaborators, were identified by all our stakeholders to be, most effective skills that the students need to know. So these success indicators, okay. So because we're focusing on these things, they are included in our school-wide learner outcomes. They are included, they're focus of our professional development, they're part of our strategic planning, and they're part of our vision and mission. So all those four things wrapping up. And then the how, those three semicircles, so with the ovals, 3 ovals, been in high school too long ago. 3 circles that indicate the how. So how do we reach that student success? Through academics, through preparing them for college and career, and through creating that culture and climate that is conducive to learning. And the main point of the coherent instructional framework is to create that alignment of all the plans and all the programs so they lead in the same direction and they serve the same focused purpose, our student success. And for the past 2 years, we focused specifically on critical thinkers, on that depth of knowledge, so the students can ask questions, they can answer questions, they provide their arguments, so that connects to the communication piece and to the collaboration piece as well. So through our coherence work, this year we included our math teachers who became part of coherence team to improve the instructional practices within math classrooms, since our results in math are not as high as language arts. Safe and healthy environment. And I'm so happy that Joy said that her favorite her favorite program is Touch of Understanding, and it hit my mind that it may become our favorite program as well. This is the first time that our students participated in the workshop. It's called Touch of Understanding, and it was absolutely wonderful tool to teach students about empathy. So you can see in the pictures that some exercises included students closing their eyes using cane. They were reading Braille, so they get an understanding, they get to understand how it feels to be blind. And again, like Joy said, I think Joy introduced us to that program last year, and we jumped in, and it was absolutely wonderful. All right, in addition to create those high standards and high expectations for learning, the school provides various curricular and extracurricular activities. And every year I list them, there are a lot. So I try to highlight and just, the ones that have been the most prominent ones. So the school offers AP and honors program, AP courses in history and English, and we have honors classes for English all 4 years. We provide Fuel Ed online program for the students who would like to accelerate or recover their credits. Also, we encourage students to take concurrent college classes. We do a lot of workshops for college admission, FAFSA, because many of our students are first generation or first in their families to ever go to college. So it's really difficult for them challenging to navigate even that simple admission, or not that simple, but admission process that we take for granted. Go sign up for college. And they say, okay, but they never do because they don't know how. So we provide a lot of support to the parents and the students so they can get on the path, again, that's higher education. Our parent and community partnerships, and on the bottom you can see Harry Block and Lily Campbell and Michael Gillespie, and a little bit of Sergei Terepkov. They're attending our back to school night. I think those were good times, and a lot of ice cream to keep people cool. So we have a successful year continuing to build our relationships with our parents and community. This year, we continue to work with our new local community, attending local meetings, making ourselves visible as much as we can, and offering our support during community functions and events. And I would like to commend Max for communicating with Sergey and Jason and seeking those opportunities and attending them and encouraging me to attend. So we were either take turns or we both attend, and then keep our communicating about what other things that what more we can do to engage in our community. And we use plethora of media tools to connect with our parents. So we use Facebook, school app, Twitter, Aries Connect, Instagram, and it became especially important to stay connected during the distance learning. So I was glad that we have all those channels set up, and we just learn how to use them more strategically so we don't overload the parents or the families, but we provide them information through the most effective and efficient channels. And I want to thank you, and I want to thank Jason Semple and Dr. Peterson for providing those timely and honest and reassuring updates to the families during that transition. And I would like to thank Sergei Terepkov as well for connecting all our parents of the GCC during the Parent Summit. And we were very happy very honored to host it at Rancho del Paso this year. So we had a great turnout. We had focused high interest workshops and just a great welcoming atmosphere for the GCC families. Here's a little snippet for the parent survey. Every year we ask our families if and to what degree they're satisfied with the school program, our facilities and environment, and the parental involvement. These are the big basic things that we want to have data on. I highlighted the area where parents showed high satisfaction with instruction and curriculum at school. So the parents believe that we provide high quality instruction and students have access to the high quality curriculum. Also, they're very happy with our facility and our safe environment. and parental involvement. The parents feel respected and they feel well informed. I think it's worthy to mention our Rancho del Paso partnership with HLA. So we are one, and we are finding more and more ways how to connect and how to work together to a mutual benefit. It's the Ubuntu principle. I am because we are. So our successes, each of our successes, become our, increased success and pride for all of us. So this year we had many opportunities. We collaborated on many activities. So the staff collaborated on different professional development opportunities. We had CKH training together to improve and, to make our relationship more trusting. We established professional norms for both leadership teams at HLA and Futures. We spent a lot of time for joint strategic planning for different events, for scheduling, and different programs. Also, the teachers collaborated on their level, like leadership teachers, service learning teachers. We're looking for ways to create different events and help each other out. So our students, so our schools had the joint anti-bullying week. And there is a picture of students on the bottom, but they were dressed as twins. So high school students and elementary students participated in this activity. They did trick-or-treating in each other's school. Little kids were coming to high school for trick-or-treating, and we treated them really well. It was really cute. We prepared, high school students prepare HLA for the fall festival. Also, we joined HLA parent family organization planning team. So how do we plan things together and how we become one? Recognizing and valuing the staff. There are a lot of things that we do at the site, and Joy mentioned a lot of wonderful things for her school, and we do a lot of similar things. Particularly, I wanted to what I'm proud of this year is that our curriculum coach, Crystal Buda, had 3 new teachers in the induction program this year, 3 brand new teachers to Futures, to GCC, and to the teaching profession. And within 1 year, those teachers have blossomed. They had a lot of, and I can attribute to our focused professional development that tailored to individual needs. Then the departmental support, because we had department meetings. Also, numerous opportunities for leadership development. So we had teacher leaders, TQAI leads, opportunity to be in Coherence team. Also, WASC self-study focus group. So the teacher felt that ownership and responsibility in progressing, in learning and creating that environment of learning for the staff and for the students. Also, a big part of this year is creating or improving, continuing to improve our staff norms. And our staff norms are communication, collaboration, professionalism, respect, and engagement. And we've been working on those norms with the staff to improve the culture and the climate and relationship between the teachers. And I would like to thank Michael Gillespie for supporting us in this work, in giving us advice, and holding us accountable and keeping us focused on our norms. So it's not just learning all the time for the teachers. We do care about, attend to their social emotional needs. So we have competitions with other schools, team sports. So the teachers have just fun and being human after school and connecting with other teachers and seeing that, it's a wonderful place to be. It's a wonderful thing to be at the GCC, just to see each other smiling faces. It's really encouraging. We have celebrating Staff of the Month. And Staff of the Month is selected by students. So it's very valuable. The students provide their input and saying that, that teacher's been really great. And we have GCC recognitions for Staff of the Year. That is very special. And I would like to thank Dr. Peterson for the coffees with the superintendent. I think these are one of the most important opportunities for people to connect. And the fact that Dr. Peterson's coming for coffee, it's like giving personal touch, connecting with each employee, with each staff member, giving that care and attention and knowing them. It's a very powerful message to all the staff, and that they are known, that they are recognized, and that they belong. So thank you, Dr. Peterson. That's a big part of that recognition. So what's next? The first word is unknown. I was just trying to be honest, that it just without thinking, that was the first word that I typed. If somebody asked me what's next, unknown. But what we do know for sure, that we are planning to provide the best opportunities for the students. It doesn't matter what the format is. It doesn't matter what life holds. It doesn't matter what CDE decides or what the governor decides. We're going to stay focused and provide those learning opportunities for our students, because we're responsible for them, and we're responsible for them to become successful. In particular, we're going to continue focusing on our equity work that we started this year. And with Hanover Group, we are going to continue to look at our data, to audit our practices and improve our practices in school, and also instructional practices, and working with our parents. We're going to focus on our college and career. We're going to focus on our partnership with HLA. We believe there's a lot of potential and a lot of wonderful things that we can do together and expand on our partnership. And also instructionally, we're going to work on that, on focusing on the coherent instructional framework, specifically on that depth of knowledge and critical thinking. So what life will hold, we don't know, but we're going to be prepared. And because we feel very supported with competent, caring, supportive, absolutely wonderful GCC leadership. So thank you.
Thank you very, very much. We are so proud of all the work that you're doing. I made a couple of comments, but I'll check with the board first to see if anyone has comments or questions. Board members? Okay. Not seeing any hands. Well, I will continue. One of the things that I mentioned was good to see the collaboration between the two schools, HLA and with Futures. That's going to pay off in great dividends. So please, please keep up that work and mentoring and working with that school. You mentioned your 30-day challenge. Is that the program that you have where, because I've been impressed with what you've been doing with your students, giving them more responsibility, giving them more respect, and teaching them how to be adults,
Yes.
for want of a better word. So would you just elaborate a little bit on that?
We partner up with Values Institute and Enjoy technology company. So Values Institute provided the content, and Enjoy provided technology. They provided the platform. So it's the idea of 30-day challenge is that micro learning. So the students can be online for 5-10 minutes. They can watch a video, they can do shout outs, they can connect with others, they can read some quotes, they can do some writing reflection. And through that micro learning, like a little bit every day, they create new habits. Mm-hmm. Plus there is a gaming component, they earn points for it. So there's a competition, so they're interested in it. So it's very live and engaging program. So they do it for 30 days.
Okay.
They need to go in every day and interact and do something around the value. So around empathy or perseverance or integrity. And if we do the next one, we would do connectedness and unity.
Okay, thank you. One other note, math. I was going to ask, what are your plans for math? But you mentioned that you realized that that was an area of concentration. So I appreciate the fact that you are well aware and really looking at, and it's not just your school, but math is is an issue that we're looking at throughout. So
Yes.
thank you again, and please, when you do talk to your staff, thank them, and particularly your parent coordinator, Scott Shaw. He does a fantastic job also
Absolutely.
working with parents and working with you in your programs. So please give our regards to all of your people and how much we appreciate the hard work that they are doing. So thank you. Anything
Thank you.
else, board member?
Thank you, Ms. Campbell.
Well,
Okay.
I will just confirm, thank you to Ms. Panashuk and also to Ms. DeCoy. Great job tonight with your presentations. And it's always a joy to hear about the great things your schools are doing under your leadership. And thank you again for your leadership.
Thank you. All right. And if there are no other comments from board members, we will move on to 4.3 COVID-19 operations written report.
We will have Mr. Gillespie speak to us about the infamous OWR, as it was being called, because we need one more acronym, OWR.
OWR.
It's the OWR. Mr.
Yes.
Gillespie.
Thank you, Dr. Peterson. Good evening, board president, members of the board. I am here to present you with the COVID-19 operations written reports for all of the GCC schools. And so what this is the report item, and in the next meeting, you will be asked to approve these OWRs, which will be on the board agenda.
Okay.
Okay, so what I'm going to do is kind of give you a quick review of what we talked about last time. The state suspended the LCAPs for this spring, but we still have to bring a budget to you, and Aaron and his team have worked with the principals to get the budgets aligned for next year's LCAP. And what will happen then is in December, you will be brought forth the LCAP for the 2021 school year. So this OWR has to meet the following criteria. We have to do the written report talking about changes to our program offerings, what we're doing to meet the needs of English learners, foster youth, and low-income students, delivering high-quality distance learning options, providing school meals, and the area of supervision of students during ordinary school hours. And so what I'm going to give to you tonight is an executive summary that incorporates all of the different elements at all of our schools. And then I'm going to go through each slide for each school and just highlight one of the items in the school that they're doing, so you can see that we have all of this happening across all of our schools within the GCC.
Great.
Go ahead, Jason. So overall, this executive summary starts off saying that I really want to affirm all of the schools for the hard work they did to create distance learning opportunities for our students. As you've heard in each of their board reports, what they've done to help make sure that the learning and the quality of learning was very high when schools were closed due to COVID-19. So all the schools created those plans in coordination with myself, Chris, Dr. Peterson, Mike Blomquist, Jason Sample, and really did a good job coordinating those efforts. So all of those plans we did sunshine to the board about over a month, well, 2 months ago now. So you are aware that they had these plans in place. They also surveyed all their parents, staff, and even students to get feedback on what was working and what was not to make changes to their programs. And then the community engagement staff of Sergey, Maisha, and Jason really worked well with the parent liaisons to provide communications as both principals affirmed them for during this time, to make sure that everyone knew what resources were available to families out there. Go ahead, Jason. Did Jason step away? I have no way to advance this. Chris, can you advance it? Oh, here we go. I think we go back. I think we need to go back one slide, I believe, but maybe not.
No.
Okay, so those 5 areas that I talked about, I'm giving the changes to program offerings. This is a general report on what all of our schools did. So basically, we quickly transitioned to distance learning. They developed the comprehensive plans that were shared with the board, provided students and families with supports and resources. They also provided teachers. There was a lot of work done on the background for the support that teachers need to do. For example, Christine McCormick did Technology Tuesdays for teachers and staff to make sure that they could help students in that online environment. and then they adapted those plans as necessary. Go ahead. So the second part, meeting the needs of English learners, foster youth, and low-income students. All of the GC schools have English learners, foster youth, and homeless students to varying levels. So depending upon which school you're in, there's support for English language learners was very high in some others and a little bit lower in others. But I will tell you that all of them had ELD support with both small group and one-on-one help with English learners. They all had paraprofessionals, as Joy highlighted, in the classroom setting, in the Google Classroom setting, so that they could help translate. And then they could also work with students in smaller groups if necessary. The counselors, social workers, and parent liaisons work to support those students who are highly at risk, like our foster youth and homeless students. And then primary language supports as well. So if students needed translating, like I said, they had paraprofessionals and other support staff to provide that for them. And one thing that wasn't included in this OWR, which is a little surprising, was the support for special education students. I definitely want to affirm all of the staffs, all of the RSP teachers, and Chris and her department, the school psychologists were heavily involved with it, the speech therapists, to continue to provide those supports for students with IEPs during the school closures. So they really did a phenomenal job making sure there were supports for those students. Next. Delivering high quality distance learning. Again, this is across all of our schools. They all develop plans with shared input from GCC. They each used a variety of platforms. Zoom and Google really were the primary platforms to deliver instruction, but they had so many other online resources they used site by site and across the GCC that was really phenomenal to see. We provided access to technologies, that in the form of Chromebooks, Wi-Fi hotspots, and then Dr. Peterson worked with the facilities department to make sure that each of our campuses had Wi-Fi out into the parking lots. If they had no Wi-Fi at home or another way to access, they were able to access that at our school sites. All of the schools held regular meetings with their students, whether it be weekly meetings, bi-weekly meetings, or almost some of them did daily meetings and check-ins with students. In addition, they were all holding office hours, especially at the secondary level, so that students could come and check in with them, get individualized support that they needed if they were struggling in any of the areas of online learning. Obviously, they had regular and ongoing communications with family students that came from the GCC as well as the school sites. And during this time, they couldn't really do the same exact program that they were offering. So they really honed in and focused on specific priority standards that they want to make sure to reinforce with students and to make sure they were exposed to them and learn them between March and the end of the school year. So the area for 4 and 5, really the school meals and the supervision of supports were exactly the same for all of our schools. We worked with all of the food service providers, mostly Twin Rivers, but Elk Grove did some food service providing for all of our students. And we worked with them to make sure that we knew the sites where they were providing food to students on a walk-up basis. And we made sure that information got out to students. We've also communicated information about through Jason's sample, what other community resources were available to students and families. And then we responded to any requests for those resources in a timely manner. As far as supervision of students during the school closure, none of our schools had students on campus, but there were community organizations, both the city of Sacramento and some community organizations that did provide services to first responders and essential employees. And what our role was to make sure that families knew about those resources and were able to access them. So now I'm going to go through each school, and I'm really going to only highlight one item because this is a more detailed explanation of their plans, and their plans have even much more detail, which will be on the next agenda. Okay. So for Saba, really, basically, if you look at number 1, the Edgenuity platform, each student already had a Chromebook and a hotspot if they needed it prior to school closure. And so they continue to use the Edgenuity platform as their primary curriculum. But if students were struggling, they were able to reach out, individually support them through Google Classroom and through other supports to make sure that they were able to continue to learn. At Higher Learning Academy, if you look on number 2, bullet number 1, HLA English learners receive support from both their classroom teachers and every single week. And that was really important for those English learners to make sure they got the supports they needed in order to be successful. At Futures High School, number 1, bullet number 3, they actually, and I was surprised Natalia didn't mention this, but they started a mentorship program at their school to ensure that no student was overlooked. So each staff member, whether it was the parent liaison, the school campus monitors, everyone was assigned a student that they were to check into during distance learning. I thought that was a really unique way of helping students. At Epic, I'm going to highlight number 2, bullet number 1. Again, the paraprofessionals at that site were pushing into classrooms online to make sure that students were successful in that environment. At Gateway International School, I highlighted number 3, bullet 2. They held virtual class meetings with students. And again, for TK through 5th grade, it was Monday through Thursday for 30 to 45 minutes. And for 6th or 8th grade, they met with each class once a week. So again, Monday would be social studies, Tuesday would be math, Wednesday would be English language arts, etc. And that way the students weren't too overwhelmed, meaning they had to meet with every class every day. And the teachers worked across the middle school to make sure their assignments were targeted and not overwhelming to students as well. At Community Outreach Academy Elementary School, they really, number 1, bullet number 2, they were doing virtually lessons minimum of 2 times a week, similar to Gateway International School. That means they were in person, teaching content, being face-to-face with students, answering questions, and making sure the students felt connected. The next one at the middle school, I'll highlight number 3, bullet 2. Teachers were already using Google Classroom and all students were already one-to-one, which you guys know. But they were again, we're utilizing Google Meet or Zoom to facilitate those weekly office hours and instructional time. And finally, at Community Collaborative Charter School, we know this is our only K-12 campus or K-12 school with 2 campuses. And really, I'm going to highlight number 2, bullet number 1, was the creation of a virtual care team at the high school. And so they were there as a group of support providers to reach out to those students who they were not connecting with. And so again, similar to GIS, they were making phone calls, they were visiting homes if necessary to make sure students stayed engaged. And then the third bullet, the counselor and mentoring support for students, that happened both at the elementary and the high school level. And so they had outside service providers, and we figured out a way to make sure they met their contract needs by continuing to mentor students and counsel students, because we know during this COVID-19 time frame, there were lots of mental health issues that students were facing and weren't able to get those services at school. So again, I really want to commend our schools for the hard work they did. They really, really did whatever it took to help students be successful. And so these plans are going to be, they're not very long, but they're probably 3 to 5 page documents where they had to answer these specific questions for the state. The plans will be brought to the board for approval, and then they will be submitted to our sponsoring districts and the County Office of Education for review, not for approval, but they will be able to see some of the wonderful things that we've been able to do for our students during this shutdown. So I'm here to answer any questions if you have any.
Board members, any questions? Any questions from board members? Michael, thank you. That was a comprehensive report. I read through it before we came to board meeting, and it was very lengthy, but good information. It really was great information.
Thank you.
And so thank you for your hard work and all of the staff members, because it takes time to do all of that, a lot of time. So I really appreciate the fact that you put in the amount of work that it took to bring it to the board. And my understanding is next board meeting, we will be adopting the plans.
Yes, and those plans will be in the agenda for your full review. So if you have any questions at that point, I can help answer them as well.
All right. Anything else from board members at this point? Seeing nothing. Thank you again, Michael. We will now move into the consent agenda items. And they are 6.1, adoptions of minutes of the May 26th regular board meeting, 6.2, personnel consent agenda, and 6.3, CTE clear credentials stipend. I will entertain a motion for consent agenda items. Yes, Mr. Turner. Jack.
I move approval.
Thank you. May I have a second? A second, Mr. Bruce? Mr. Mandrick?
I'll second the motion.
All right. Any discussion on any of the consent agenda items before the vote? Anything from anyone? Seeing no hands, then I will call for the vote of the consent agenda items. Mr. Block? You're muted.
Yes.
Thank you. Mr. Mandrick?
Yes.
Mr. Turner?
Yes.
Campbell, yes. The consent agenda items have been approved as written. We will now move into 11, no business curriculum personnel. 11.1 elementary program specialists. I think those are job descriptions. Am I correct?
Yes, so 11.1 and 11.2 are job descriptions, each for the elementary hybrid program. One is mirroring the campus principal role that we had created for the vocational academies. You'll remember the role is one that recognizes that when a quote unquote vice principal is at a site by themselves, a good deal of the time, it is a higher level amount of responsibility. It is not as responsible as a full principal, but so we recognize the vocational academy campus principal and we recognize the K-8 campus principal as being kind of a between vice principal and principal position. And this job description is recognizing that.
All right, so we have 11.1 and 11.2. Board members, can we take both of them together or would you like to do the separate? Yes, Ms. Mandrick.
I would move approval of 11.1 and 11.2.
Oh, okay. Mr. Block,
Second.
you second. All right. Any other discussion on 11.1 and 11.2? Any other discussion? I'm sorry, someone is speaking, but I can't see who it is.
I think it was just background noise, Madam President.
Okay, thank you. All right, so here, no other discussion. All in favor of the adoption of the elementary program specialist and the K-8 campus principal job description, the voting sign. Mr. Block,
Yes.
Mr. Mandrick,
Yes.
Mr. Turner,
Yes.
yes. Campbell, yes. So 11.1, 11.2 has been approved unanimously by the board. So thank you very much. We are now moving into board comments.
We actually have an 11.3, I believe.
I do not have 11.3 on my agenda. I have 11.1 and 11.2.
Okay, Jason,
Please.
can you?
Yes, under personnel, there's item 11.3, 11.3 GCC stipend reduction resolution.
We can certainly see 11.3, so I'm not sure why the board is not able to see 11.3.
You're right, it's not on my agenda for now, but I do remember reading.
Bruce has his
Yeah,
hand raised.
I can't see it.
Bruce
I
sees
have it on.
11.3.
It was on the last agenda that Blythe sent out.
I'm sorry. I don't know if it's
It's on my agenda.
okay.
Okay.
So mine's too. I had it.
Would you please bring Bruce? I see
I'm sorry.
your hand up.
No,
Mr.
I'm fine.
Mandrick.
I think all three other board members were confirming that they have it on their agenda, Madam President.
Okay, do you have any, well, let's take a vote first and open for discussion. I will entertain a motion for the adoption of the stipend for CTE people. I
No,
remember it now.
let's
Yes.
hold on.
I will
It's
entertain a motion.
no, let's hold on, because that motion, yeah, the motion needs to be, if you want to entertain a motion for the 10% reduction in stipends, which is 11.3. That would be the motion you're asking for.
Yes, that is a motion for CTA people. Yes, Mr. Turner. Hands up for Jack.
I'm sorry, we can't hear you, Jack. You're still on mute. There you go.
Okay.
I move approval, but then I have a comment or a question.
Okay, move approval. May I have a second?
Second,
Mr. Block,
second.
second. Yeah, now discussion comment. Jack,
Yes, can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay.
yes, I recognize you.
My question is,
Yes,
why is this not coming as part of a total package? Why is this pulled out separately? I understand that we may need some reductions, but that's just the timing on this particular motion.
So the timing is that HR will soon be writing letters to each individual regarding confirming their employment for next year. It includes their stipends. And so people have to be aware of what the change is because the amount of money is put into that. So the timing is so that we are not over-promising. We are not proposing, Jack, any other salary reductions at this time. This is the only thing we're discussing at this time.
all right. Any other, yes, Jack, Mr.
So
Turner.
can you hear me?
Yes,
I understand that this is only dealing with the stipends, but do we not send out notification on what the salary is going to be in 2021 also?
Yes, and at this time, we have committed that we're not changing our salary schedules for 2021.
All right.
We not only are we are keeping what was our current salary schedule, but we are keeping the commitment that you and we made for the 1.5% increase. And Mr. Business has worked with every principal on their budget to make sure that they can have a balanced budget. You will be getting that in June, but it includes this 10% reduction only in stipends, not in salaries.
Okay, thank you.
all right. Any other comments or discussion? Hearing none, I will call for the vote on this item. Mr. Block,
Yeah,
Mr.
Yes.
Mandrick,
Yes.
Mr. Turner, Jack, vote
Yes.
yes. Campbell, yes. Thank you. So that item passes. And now we move to board comments. Comments, board members? Yes, Mr. Block.
I was gonna say, I was at HLA for the kindergarten little graduation, and the kids came up there decked out, looking good and moving on, and there was a few little tears, but it was a happy time. So I was
Great.
out there with them.
Perfect. Perfect. Any other board comments? Yes, Mr. Turner.
I would like to say that all of the board reports from all of the sites have just been excellent. I hope that message is carried back to them.
I agree with you 100%. They have been great, outstanding reports, and they've done a great job considering the situation. So please make sure they are aware of this from the board members.
Jason and I will craft something to send out to them to confirm that.
All right. And we are now moving into announcements of next board meeting.
The next regular GCC board meeting is scheduled for June 23rd.
June 23rd. All right.
And it will be an exciting meeting because it will be all about Mr. Business. He will be talking to you about those budgets. We're so excited. We will actually know a little bit more, hopefully by then as well. We are still, as you may know, at a place where we have a May revision and then we have the legislature arguing for something different, and we don't know. We are just doing our very best at this moment. But I really want to affirm Aaron Thornsberry, our CBO, who is working tirelessly behind the scenes along with Omira, his director. They are just doing great work with the principals, and I know that you will be pleased with what they are bringing forward. Not happy, because we are not happy about the cuts, to budget that we're making to make everything work, but I know you'll be pleased with the level of detail he provides.
Thank you. Looking forward to it. Well, any other closing comments for the good of the organization? Any other closing comments? Hearing none, I will entertain a motion for adjournment. Yes, Mr. Turner.
I move adjournment.
Do I have a second?
Second.
Second. Thank you very much. Meeting's adjourned. Thank you.
Bye, everybody.
Bye.
Bye-bye. Thank you. Thank you.